Hello, students. Today we're going to do a quick and exam-ready revision of animal husbandry. We're going to break down everything you need to know about poultry, fish, and even bees, making it super simple for you.
So, what's on the menu today? We'll kick things off with poultry. Think eggs and meat. Then we'll dive into fish production, covering both the sea and inland fisheries. And finally, we'll get into the sweet world of beekeeping. Okay, let's get going. So, let's start with the huge question, right? How on earth do we make sure there's enough nutritious food for our ever-growing population? I mean, we're talking about affordable food, especially animal protein, and the demand is just shooting up every single day.
And this is exactly where animal husbandry steps in. Think of it as the scientific way we manage farm animals. It's the solution that gives us things like poultry for eggs and meat, fish for that cheap protein, and of course, honey.
Okay, first on our list, poultry farming. This is all about raising domesticated fowl to get two super important things: eggs and chicken meat. Now, in the poultry world, you've got two main players. You have the layers, and as the name suggests, they're the birds raised for egg production. Then you have the broilers, and these are the ones raised specifically for meat. So, how do we get better chickens? Well, it's all about something called crossbreeding. What farmers do is they take our local indigenous Indian breeds, a great example is the Asil, and they cross them with foreign or exotic breeds like the Leghorn. The whole idea is to mix and match the best qualities from both sides. But why go through all this trouble? Well, we're aiming for some really specific, desirable traits. We want birds that give us a good number and quality of chicks, can handle our high temperatures, summer adaptation, and need less maintenance. Plus, and this is a huge one, the ability to thrive on cheaper, fibrous diets. For egg layers, a smaller size is actually more efficient. It's all about creating a more robust and profitable bird. Now let's talk about the broilers, the meat chickens.
For them to grow well, they need some special treatment. Their feed has to be packed with protein and have enough fat, and vitamins are absolutely crucial, especially high levels of vitamin A and K. But it's not just about food. Their housing has to be perfect, proper temperature, and super hygienic. And of course, you've got to prevent diseases with good sanitation and vaccinations.
Okay, let's move on. We've talked about the land. Now let's dive into the water. We're shifting gears to fish production, which is a massive source of affordable animal protein for so many people.
So, how do we get fish? Well, there are basically two ways. First, there's capture fishing. That's exactly what it sounds like, catching fish from natural places like seas and rivers. The second way is culture fishery, which is just another term for fish farming or aquaculture. That's where we raise fish in controlled spaces. Let's talk about marine fisheries first. India has this incredibly long coastline, right? About 7,500 kilometers. That makes our seas a huge resource for fish. And it's not just about throwing a net in the water anymore. We're using some pretty cool tech now, like satellites and echo sounders, to find big schools of popular fish like pomfret, mackerel, and tuna. And beyond just catching fish, we're also farming them in the sea. This is called mariculture. We're farming high-value species like prawns, mussels, and even oysters, for pearls. Okay, so that was the sea. Now let's talk about what happens inland. Inland fisheries are all about freshwater sources. Think rivers, ponds, canals, and sometimes it also includes brackish water, which is that mix of fresh and salt water you find in estuaries. Now this is where things get really clever. There's a system called composite fish culture. It's brilliant. You grow several different species of fish together in the same pond. But here's the trick. They don't compete for food. For instance, catlaws are surface feeders. Rohus feed in the middle zone, and murgels and common carps are bottom feeders. You can even throw in grass carps to eat the weeds. See? Every part of the pond is used, which means you get a much, much higher yield. It's super efficient. This system sounds perfect, right? It's incredibly efficient, but there's one big problem that can mess everything up. And that problem is the lack of good quality seed. That's what we call the fish eggs. What happens is, a lot of these fish species breed during the monsoon, all at the same time. So their eggs get all mixed up in the water. You can't be sure if you're getting pure seed of just one type. So what's the fix? Well, scientists came up with a fantastic solution: hormonal stimulation. They figured out how to use hormones to make the fish breed in ponds in a controlled way. This means we can get pure seed in the quantity we want whenever we want. It completely solves that mixing problem.
All right, for our last topic, we're moving on to something a little sweet.
Beekeeping, or what's officially called apiculture. This is a really great option for farmers because it doesn't require a huge investment and it provides extra income. So, we've got our local Indian bee varieties, like the Apis cerana indica, the rock bee, and the little bee. But for commercial honey production on a big scale, there's one bee that's the superstar, an Italian variety called Apis mellifera.
So, you might be asking, why this Italian bee? What's so special about it? Well, it's got a bunch of advantages. First, it has a really high honey collection capacity. Second, it stings less, which is definitely a plus. It also tends to stay in the beehive for longer periods, and it breeds really, really well. Okay, quick question for you. Have you ever noticed how honey can taste completely different depending on where you get it from? Ever wonder why that is?
Well, the answer is a single word: pasturage. It's all about the flowers that are available to the bees for collecting nectar and pollen. The type of flower directly determines the taste and quality of the honey. It's that simple.
So if there's one big idea to take away from all this, it's this. To improve our food production, whether it's poultry, fish, or bees, we absolutely need scientific and sustainable management practices. The goal is always to increase the yield, but without messing up our environment.
And that brings us to a final question to think about. Looking ahead, which of these do you think has the most potential to change the future of food in India? Is it poultry, fisheries, or beekeeping? What do you think and why? It's a really interesting question to chew on.